Today I want to explore the origins of Bethlehem Steel FC, a club that revolutionized American soccer during one of the most turbulent times in American history. How did this small-town team rise to national prominence and dominate the soccer landscape? What impact did the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand have on their remarkable U.S. Open Cup runs? And can they truly claim the first ever soccer-specific stadium in U.S. history? Join me as we delve into the American story of Bethlehem Steel FC. This story begins in 1857 with a man by the name of Augustus Wool, when he founded the Sakona Iron Company. The company operated blast furnaces and rolling mills, mainly focusing on the railroad and armor plating industries. Despite frequent economic challenges, they survived the Panic of 1857 and other financial crises. Following the American Civil War, the U.S. downsized the Navy heavily, and eventually when the nation later decided to rebuild the Navy, Bethlehem Steel's destiny took a pivotal turn. The company completed the first U.S. heavy forging plant, and its military connections enabled it to become one of the world's largest iron forging companies. In 1898, recognizing the new technologies and opportunities, the company transitioned entirely to steel production, aiming for greater profitability. So Sakona Iron Company had finally morphed into the Bethlehem Steel Corporation. The new focus on steel propelled the corporation to exponential growth, establishing it as a dominant player in the ever-expanding steel market and arguably the most influential company of the era. This growth led to Bethlehem Steel constructing one of the earliest industrial parks ever in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. During this time, Bethlehem Steel Corporation became one of the world's leading steel producers, symbolizing American manufacturing prowess. The company owned steel mill facilities that produced steel for numerous iconic American structures, including the Chrysler Building, Madison Square Garden, the Empire State Building, Rockefeller Center, and the Golden Gate Bridge, among others. Bethlehem Steel also played a crucial role in the manufacturing of U.S. warships and other military weapons that were used in World War I. Historian Lance Metz is quoted as saying, "Bethlehem Steel was the most important to America's national defense of any company in the past century. We wouldn't have won World War I and World War II without it." The onset of World War I was what gave Bethlehem Steel the massive military contracts they needed to be cemented as a steel manufacturing titan. Then, during World War II, as much as 70% of airplane cylinder forgings, a quarter of armor plating on American warships, and half of the big cannon forgings for the U.S. military were all turned out by Bethlehem Steel. So it goes without saying that Bethlehem Steel was a huge player in American society, both economically and culturally. The company grew from a single man's vision to employing over 300,000 people at its peak during World War II, playing a large role in building the infrastructure and military that is the lifeline of America's power. To support its growing workforce, Bethlehem Steel implemented various strategies to boost worker morale, foster community spirit, and enhance company loyalty. One such strategy was creating the one and only Bethlehem Steel FC. This club was formed to help foster a sense of community and camaraderie among the workers. By leveraging the large talent pool they had with their massive workforce, they could put together a strong team to see success on the field and enhance the company reputation. Bethlehem Steel FC was one of the most successful early American soccer clubs ever. Founded in 1907 within amateur leagues, the club played their first ever game against West Hudson AA, one of the top professional teams in the country, losing 11-2. In the harsh environments of the steel mills, the soccer club became a vital community outlet, allowing steelworkers to unwind after shifts and gather with their colleagues. In the 1912-13 season, the team won the Amateur Allied American Football Association, which caught the eye of management at the company. Charles Schwab, owner of Bethlehem Steel, decided to take the team professional. He used his wealth to bring in top players from all across the world to the team, and also construct what is argued to be America's first ever soccer-specific stadium, Bethlehem Steel Athletic Field on Elizabeth Avenue. This stadium was the first covered steel and brick soccer-specific grandstand in the entire country, holding roughly 2,400 fans. The Moravian College now owns the grandstand as it still stands today, and it is still used by fans all 112 years later. From 1913 to 1915, the team continued play in the Allied American Football Association. In 1914, the team participated in the American Cup, the first ever major U.S. soccer competition open to teams of all levels from all leagues across the country. The American Cup began in 1885 and competed with the National Challenge Cup for relevancy. Although the American Cup declined in importance in the 1910s from the competition with the National Challenge Cup and was last held in 1924, the American Cup was just as prestigious as the National Challenge Cup at this time. Bethlehem Steel FC had advanced to the second round of the competition. They beat Far Alpaca FC to then beat West Hudson AA in the quarterfinals. They nearly got knocked out in the semifinals by Jersey AC, tying 2-2. However, in the second game, they beat their Pennsylvania neighbors 1-0, securing their first ever American Cup and thus their first ever national silverware. In the 1914-1915 season, Bethlehem Steel was making a deep run in the second ever National Challenge Cup, later known as the US Open Cup. Many more teams participated than the previous year. This was the year that the National Challenge Cup truly became a national tournament, with St. Louis and California being the only major soccer-playing regions without representation. Under manager Horace Lewis, with a team composed of all professional American, English, and Scottish players, Bethlehem Steel had beat out Victor FC, Scottish American FC, and Homestead FC with an 8-2 total score aggregate through 3 games to earn themselves a spot in the final. Led by Captain Robert Miller, who was a Hall of Famer, central forward, and future U.S. men's national team coach during the 1930 World Cup third-place finish, the team secured a dominating 3-1 victory over Brooklyn Celtic in the finals. Winning this high-profile cup in Bethlehem with over 7,500 fans in attendance led to a huge surge in support of soccer and more specifically Bethlehem Steel within the town. With the increased support for the club and continual investments from the company, the team went on to win the third National Challenge Cup in the 1915-1916 season as well, with their 1-0 victory over Fall River Rovers on May 6, 1916, making them the first ever team to not only win multiple National Challenge Cups, but to win back-to-back National Challenge Cups. Then, only a month later on June 10th, Bethlehem had another finals appearance, this time in the American Cup, where they beat out the Scottish Americans 3-0, making them the first ever team to win both the American Cup and the National Challenge Cup in the same year. Due to the huge surge of support for the club from the 4 national level cup trophies in only a couple of years, the team decided to move out of their local amateur league to the American Soccer League of Philadelphia in the 1915-1916 season. In 1916 and 1917, the team did not associate with any league, opting to only play in exhibition and cup games this entire year as they sought their place in the soccer hierarchy. Despite not having regular season play within a league to sharpen the team's skills, the team still made it to their second American Cup final, beating out the Kearney Scottish Americans 3-0 at home, completing the back-to-back Cup Finals victories in the American Cup. They also made it to the third National Challenge Cup final later that year, however they ended up falling short to the Fall River Rovers 1-0 on May 5, 1917. In 1917, the club joined the amateur/semi-professional football league, the National Association Football League. The very first year they competed, Bethlehem Steel were the runner-up winners of the league. This same year, the team continued their dominant position in the National Challenge Cup, making it to the finals, playing their new rivals, the Fall River Rovers, in the finals once again. The first game on May 4th, 1918, ended in a 2-2 tie. However, on May 19th, the two played again for the title, and Bethlehem Steel came away victorious with a 3-0 win, all the while winning the 1917 and 1918 American Cup 7-0 and 1-0 respectively. Then, from 1918 to 1921, Bethlehem Steel FC won the table every single year. They dominated the amateur/semi-professional league. However, many of the top teams, Bethlehem Steel included, became somewhat frustrated with the amateur nature of the league, and ultimately opted for other top North Atlantic soccer leagues. After having won the American Cup 5 times and the National Challenge Cup 4 times, all the while competing and securing top slot or being runner-ups in the National Association Football League every year that they competed, the organization was looking for better competition. It was for this reason that many of the top NAFBL teams and top teams from other regional leagues joined together to form the American Soccer League. The American Soccer League was the first of 4 different professional soccer leagues in the United States to use the ASL name throughout the years. For several years of its existence, the popularity even rivaled the National Football League. Yes, that National Football League. It was at this time that the local community feared that they would lose their beloved club to a bigger market, and they did. The ownership moved the club to Philadelphia in 1921, where it competed under the name Philadelphia FC. Although the team won the very first American Soccer League championship, the team was in serious financial trouble and didn't have the strong fan support in the new market. Thus, the ownership moved the team back to Bethlehem the following year and restored the initial name. The next 3 seasons, the team saw the same success it had seen in Bethlehem before, being runner-ups in their new league table 3 years in a row from the 1922-23 season to the 1924-25 season. It was during this time that the team signed one of the most influential players to have ever been a part of the organization, Archie Stark. Archie Stark was a dominant Scottish striker who garnered his fame when he immigrated to America and played in various early American soccer leagues. Archie scored 67 goals in his first season with Bethlehem, including 8 hat-tricks. With his leadership, the team even went on to win the American Cup once more in 1924. This ended up being the final American Cup, and Bethlehem Steel were etched into American Cup history as having the most cup wins of all time with 6 championships. The next closest? 3 championships, tied between West Hudson, Patterson True Blues, and Clark O&T. Then in the 1924-25 season, controversy arose in the American soccer world. With the American Cup being disbanded, the National Challenge Cup was now the one and only national level competition in American soccer. Teams from the 2 big leagues at the time, the American Soccer League and the St. Louis Soccer League, had won the previous several cups. However, the organizations were butting heads. The American Soccer League and St. Louis League wanted to set up a one-time American Professional Soccer Championship between the St. Louis Soccer League and the American Soccer League, as opposed to the National Challenge Cup. They argued that the National Challenge Cup was taking advantage of the leagues financially, and thus they wanted to create their own independent tournament between each other instead. The United States Football Association, who ran the National Challenge Cup, did not like this, as it would mean the best teams in the country would no longer be participating in their competition that had been a tradition for decades. This whole conflict came to be known as the Soccer War, where the American Soccer League and St. Louis Soccer League argued with the United States Football Association over control and direction of the sport in America. It was for these reasons that the organizations disagreed with each other and ultimately why the leagues boycotted the National Challenge Cup, leaving most of the high-level American soccer talent completely removed from the competition. This was a heavy blow, leading to the lowest finals attendance in the Cup's history, with only 2,500 fans and 2 amateur-level teams, the Shawsheen Indians and Chicago Canadian Club, competing in the finals. The National Challenge Cup made negotiations with the league, and eventually the United States Football Association and the American Soccer League came to an agreement, and the American Soccer League teams were back in the National Challenge Cup the next year. However, the St. Louis League was not happy with the offer by the Cup and did not compete the next year in the 1925-26 competition. This meant the Cup had much easier competition without any of the St. Louis teams, and helped lay the path that Bethlehem took to win it all that year. This led to the team winning their 5th and final National Challenge Cup title that year against J&P Coates in the finals 7-2, thanks to a dominating performance by the team and a hat-trick by star striker Archie Stark on April 11, 1926. However, only 3 years later in 1928, the American Soccer League boycotted the Challenge Cup once again. Despite being a part of the American Soccer League, however, Bethlehem Steel sided with the United States Football Association this time around, and decided to participate in the National Challenge Cup despite the boycott of 1928. Bethlehem had a strong allegiance to the United States Football Association, with their long-standing tradition of competing in the Cup and prioritizing the prestige and historical significance of the tournament over the American Soccer League's collective action, and this is what ultimately got the team shunned from the league. When the team ignored the league's call to boycott, they were expelled from the American Soccer League that year immediately. The decisions made by Bethlehem and the American Soccer League are a great highlight on the ongoing tensions and differing priorities within the soccer community during that time. The strong allegiance to the United States Football Association and their National Challenge Cup is what got the club awarded the USFA Medal in 1925. This medal is a way for the United States Football Association to honor teams that helped forward the sport in America, and thus Bethlehem's allegiance to the Soccer Federation over their league was a helpful move in support of the Federation's strength and influence over soccer in America. Under the new guidance of the United States Football Association, Bethlehem Steel and 2 other expelled teams joined with teams from the Southern New York State Soccer Association to create the Eastern Soccer League. However, with the tumultuous world of United States soccer at the time, combined with economic hardships such as the Great Depression, the team started to suffer heavily in these years. They won the Eastern Soccer League the very first year of its existence. However, due to the stock market crash, many of the corporate sponsors that kept the teams alive started to dry up. The American Soccer League also struggled heavily at this time, and thus asked to mend ties with the United States Football Association. This led to a merger of the American Soccer League and Eastern Soccer League. On November 4th, 1929, the United States Football Association, American Soccer League, and the Eastern Soccer League came to an agreement to end the soccer war, and the 2 leagues would merge into the Atlantic Coast Soccer League. The Eastern Soccer League cut play halfway through the season due to this news, and thus in the second and final Eastern Soccer League season, Bethlehem Steel was on the top of the table at the time, thus technically winning the league's second and final season ever. The new Atlantic Coast League had its first season in 1930. And decided to actually revert back to the American Soccer League name before the season started. The league attempted to continue operations just as it had before the soccer wars even started, when they were succeeding on all fields. However, the Great Depression was one of the hardest economic times in human history, and thus most sports leagues did not survive. Teams began falling out of the league due to financials. Boston was the first team to go only 4 games into the season. The second team to fail was the brand new team to the league, Bridgeport, Hungary. The team played in Bridgeport, Pennsylvania, moved to Newark, New Jersey after 10 games to try and find a stronger market, played 5 games there, then shut down operations and disbanded after that due to financial issues. Then, halfway through the season, Bethlehem Steel FC finally succumbed to the economic hardships of the time and withdrew from the league, disbanding operations for good. Bethlehem Steel FC, born from the American industrial heartland, emerged through massive infrastructure booms and conflicts thousands of miles away. The team etched themselves into history, creating the first ever soccer-specific stadium in America and fostering high-level coaches and players that went on to nearly win the World Cup. Despite being uprooted for a bigger market, they returned home to even greater success. They dominated every league that they joined, tied for the most National Challenge Cup championships with 5, and secured a record-breaking 6 American Cups, including 4 consecutive years of winning. This team of humble factory workers that not only set competitive standards, but also laid the foundation for America's soccer development and popularity was now history. While the team's operations ceased nearly a century ago, their story was revived to a large extent in 2014, when Philadelphia Union brought back the club's likeness with their black and red kit as the club's secondary jersey. Much like the grandfather club that came before them, the Union saw extreme success with this jersey, thus instantly making it a fan favorite. Wearing this jersey, the Union found their way to the US Open Cup Finals, much like their predecessors had so many times before them. Then, the following year, the Union revived Bethlehem Steel FC after a fan vote when the club's secondary team was named Bethlehem Steel FC and joined the USL's top division, playing home games at now Goodman Stadium on the campus of Lehigh University, right in the heart of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, where Bethlehem Steel FC had once called home. Bethlehem Steel played a crucial role in shaping American soccer. Their grassroots rise, moving from a recreational club for factory workers to becoming the winningest team in the most historic soccer competition in United States history, is a testament to the club's greatness. Playing in the National Challenge Cup amidst boycotts highlights their dedication to working alongside the United States Football Association to promote soccer in the US at all levels of play, not just the top level. The team not only set the bar in competitive play for teams all across the country, but also helped lay the foundation for the development and popularity of the sport. Their legacy is a testament to the impact a single team can have on the broader soccer community, influencing future generations and the growth of soccer for all Americans.